Have you ever had the experience in a reading and healing session with someone where they're communicating information to you and your intuitive alarm bells are just going off? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. We're going to talk about psychic red flags, more so from the perspective of receiving a reading or receiving a healing. But I think what I'm sharing here is going to be helpful for people that are practitioners as well. So before we get started, my name is Christine from Kyanite Psychic Services, and I love to help sensitive, creative souls build confidence and trust in their gifts and abilities. And you can find out more about me at kyanitepsychic.com. I was inspired to create this video because I was at a metaphysical fair offering readings, and I had an interesting conversation with a friend of mine who was also reading there. She was telling me about an experience that she had with another practitioner receiving a reading where the information did not feel aligned. And her intuitive alarm bells were going ding, 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 right? And she listened to it. But it had me thinking, this is a good topic for a video, and it's something that people should talk about because it's important to be aware of certain red flags that exist and why they're red flags. So, as we get started with this topic, I want to say right off the bat, if you experience any of these, if there's a reader or healer that has, facilitated any of these red flags, it does not mean that they're a bad person, right? Yes, there are definitely people out there that have bad intentions, ill will, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, for sure. Let's not be naive. But, many people have beautiful, loving intentions, but they might be going through a really intense growth period spiritually. They might lack certain education, right? It does not mean that they're a bad person. So I just want to be really clear about that. So the first red flag that I want to share, it's actually some words that you might hear, especially in a reading. The word should, the word have to, the word need to, words really. Should, have to, need to. Because those words squash your free will. And your free will is what is most important. It's a fundamental part of being human, having free will. You don't need to do anything. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. I know that sounds a little defiant, but really, when guidance comes forward in the reading space, it's for your consideration. You don't have to follow any of it. And it's important to always cross-check whatever you're receiving with what your intuition says, with what your higher self says. Don't give your power away ever, and especially not in the reading and healing space. It doesn't matter who is communicating this information. They could be one of the most notable psychics out there, right? If it's not aligned, if it doesn't feel right, if your alarm bells are just going off, respect that. It's very important to trust yourself. If you can't trust yourself, who are you going to trust, right? So those words should, have to, and need to are big red flags, at least from my perspective. Now, the thing is that, guides are chatty. And a lot of the time they do have helpful suggestions, like you might want to try this, you might want to try that. But notice how the information is being communicated, right? For your consideration, if it resonates with you, right? Especially if someone is channeling or if it's in a mediumship session, right? Have to, red flag, definitely. Okay. So the second red flag is when you're in a session and someone tells you that they will reach in to your energy field and make adjustments. They're like, I will do it. Let me do it. No, red flag. And let me explain why. For all of us humans, we're happiest, we're most vital when two things, when our consciousness is fully in our body, like fully in, and when we're running off of our own information. I know throughout the training that I've had, it was emphasized strongly that if you look at pain and discomfort of any kind metaphysically and energetically, it's foreign energy, meaning it's energy that's not yours in some way, right? So we're happiest, we're healthiest, we're most vital when we're in our body and we're running off of our own energy and information. So if someone's wanting to give you a healing, again, their heart, it could be the purest intention. But if they're wanting to reach in and make adjustments, no. And it's not great for them either. Think about it this way. If someone is giving you a healing with their energy, they're giving you their life force energy, and that depletes them over time. They can only give so much before what's left, right? And they're infusing you with foreign energy, right? Meaning something that's not yours is now in your body. That's not good, right? So be mindful of that. There's a distinction because, well, energy healing, right, involves something shifting and changing. So in the healing space, we can work with guides, with other non-physical beings, collaborators, right? Where we notice what needs to shift and we have them go in and give the healing, go in and make the changes. And that's very powerful and very effective because there are high vibrating, guides, high vibrating beings that are going to be able to reach in and make those changes without infusing the person with foreign energy, right? And then also there are modalities like Reiki, that's really the most popular one that many people are familiar with, where it's a channeled healing. So the person giving the healing is an open channel for that Reiki energy to flow through them, flow through their hands and into the person. So when they're giving you Reiki, they're not giving you their energy. It's the Reiki energy flowing through them, right? They're an open channel. And that's wonderful, right? But if it's, I'm going to give you my life force energy, I'm not channeling anything, no, red flag. So to that end, it's totally okay for you to ask a practitioner, a healer, hey, what's your process? What are you doing? Right? You can ask before a session, you can ask during a session. It's okay for you to ask questions. Think about it like if you were to go to a Western medical doctor, someone who works on the body, or even a naturopath, um, you wouldn't just let them give you anything like take this, take that, take this without explaining what they're giving you or what they're doing. So the same thing in the healing space. It's okay to ask questions. And if you feel uncomfortable at any point, you have the agency to just step away, right? Don't give your power away to anyone else. All right, so the next red flag, I might be a little spicy about this one, but it has to do with channeling and mediumship most of all. And it's the word they. Who are they? Anytime I hear that, that is my first question. Who are they? It's important to establish who you're communicating with. So if you're in a reading, a mediumship session, right, channeled healing, and someone says they, whatever, like they're telling me, it's important for you to ask, who are they? If they haven't told you, if the practitioner hasn't told you who they are, that's a pretty big red flag. If they can't tell you who they are, that is also a red flag. Again, the person giving the session might have the purest intentions, but it is not beneficial to bring in beings where you don't know who they are and you don't have a process to keep your space clear to identify what's coming in, what's going out, and all that, right? So they, from my perspective, pretty big red flag. One little caveat is, there are guides that will appear as collectives. And I'm sure many of you have bumped into people who channel a collective, who work with a collective of beings. That's a little bit different because that's a group of non-physical beings that want to communicate as one, right? But they'll give you some context, some information about who they are, where they come from, the nature of the relationship, and all that. So it's a little bit of a different they than just a they that comes out of nowhere with no context at all. So I hope that helps. Another red flag is any fear-based communication, right? If you don't do this, then this will happen. Or this bad thing will happen, but I can help fix it. Right? All of those things are red flags. I feel like I don't need to talk about that one too much because, well, you can feel that that's not beneficial if someone goes down that path. Now, if you're in a reading space and someone notices something that might be an issue, like I'm seeing this part of your energetic body light up or something in your physical body, you might want to pay attention to that. That's different. But if they're using fear-based absolute communication, like this will happen, there's nothing you can do to change it, red flag, because guess what? We all have free will, and nothing in the reading space is absolute. Why? Because we can only really look at energy from the vantage point of the present moment, right? Meaning, if I'm looking out into the future, I can only read the future from the perspective of the present. And we always, every single person always has the power to shift and change their energy at any given moment. So there are no absolutes. And that's actually a really freeing thing. So anyone that's using fear-based communication to lock you into a certain timeline, no way. No. Red flag. And the last red flag that I want to talk about is, unfortunately, practitioners that badmouth other practitioners. So I've encountered this a couple times. I wish I hadn't, but I have. When readers and healers badmouth each other, that's a really big red flag. It's ethically not okay, right? And it is not a high vibrational thing to do. Also, it really is an imbalance of too much competitive energy that that person might be running and a scarcity mindset, right? We talk badly about other people because we feel insecure in some way, and we talk badly about other people because we're worried that we might not have enough. So we have to make sure we squash someone else's potential abundance or potential clientele. So be mindful of that. That's a pretty big red flag, at least in my book. So I hope that what I've had to share today helps you to feel empowered, whether you're seeking guidance or looking for healing in a session or you're growing your practice. There's some food for thought. And the last thing that I want to say is that there's no good, better, best when it comes to a certain point. There's no good, better, best because all of us, readers, healers, practitioners, have a piece of the puzzle. We all have our own unique way of connecting with spirit. We all have our unique strengths and knowledge bases, our unique voices and personalities, unique energies. So there is no good, better, best. And well, maybe this is another red flag. If anyone ever uses that kind of language, well, right. Um, it's not really beneficial to quantify someone's capacity to be a healer in that way. It's all about what someone can offer to another in that moment, right? That next piece of the puzzle on their healing journey. So that's what I have to share with you today. If you would like to learn how to read energy and to work in partnership with spirit to help facilitate powerful healings in yourself and others, I do have a program that will help you learn how to do that. It's called Intuitive Freedom, and it's a 6-month training program that's full of information and also has practice sessions where you can put what you've learned into practice in real time with other people. So I would love to see you there if that resonates, and I'll put a link to that down below. And if you feel guided to work with me, I do offer reading and healing sessions, and I'll put information for that below. Thanks so much for being here, and I look forward to connecting with you in the next video.